Travis Hunter has decided he will not be playing his college football next season at Jackson State. Now, Chad Simmons put out an intel article on on3.com, so if you haven't yet gone and checked that out, would encourage you to do so. But he's got the scoop. Gave us some of the early leaders, and those would be obviously Colorado being in the mix. Travis Hunter has acknowledged that. Georgia, the home state school for Travis Hunter. Sounds like they're one of the leaders in the clubhouse, as well as Miami being in the mix, USC being in the mix. And then as of a few hours ago, Chad mentioned that folks from Ole Miss are working to be considered. So there's a lot of pieces to go in with this. Let's just kind of break it all down, school by school, tell you what we think about this, tell you about the angle that we would imagine Travis Hunter is evaluating these schools at, and we'll just kind of keep this thing rolling. It's going to be something that develops more and more as we get visits on the books for him. But keep an eye on this. Make sure you're subscribed so we can have this consistent dialogue and this conversation as we go live consistently on a bi-weekly basis. That means twice a week for those of you keeping track at home. But first and foremost, Colorado has to be the leader in the clubhouse. You know it. I know it. At the end of the day, college football recruiting, there's a lot that goes into it. NIL has now been mixed in as well. We'll talk about that. But for Colorado, they have the relational side of things, right? Travis Hunter committed to Jackson State. I'm sure because he liked Jackson State, but Deion Sanders was why he went to Jackson State and ultimately why he's leaving Jackson State. And we have seen in the portal era, people follow people. Players follow coaches. So Deion Sanders going to Colorado, it would make all the sense in the world for him to stick with the man who has the roadmap to get where Travis Hunter wants to go. Deion Sanders, one of the best ever to play the game, especially at Travis Hunter's position at corner. It would make a lot of sense for him to follow him there. But here's what I think would be the snag if you want to talk yourself into it. The risk for Colorado is the opportunity cost of these other programs. And Deion Sanders can make the pitch, hey, if you want to go play in the NFL, follow me. I've been there. I've done that. I promise you, I know how to get there. That's the pitch that only Deion Sanders can make within this group. Now, however, Georgia, USC, these other programs that have had coaches be at the Power 5 level for an extended period of time, they can say, you know what? We actually have put guys into that position. Georgia can say, we had 5 guys in last year's draft on the defensive side of the ball alone go in the first round. So, yeah, we have a resume. We have proof of concept. Come play for us. Go through our development and be in good shape. So you don't necessarily risk at Colorado not being able to do that, but you do risk missing out on what development could have been achieved at different programs, Georgia being the one that we're going to talk about next. Really quickly, though, if you haven't subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, love to have you at the party. Portal season, turning up the heat. National Signing Day, turning up the heat. Make sure you're locked in. Also, follow me on the socials at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. Like I was just alluding to, for Georgia, the key selling point has to be development. And we talked to Chad Simmons, director of recruiting here for On3, and he told us that's kind of the big piece right now for Travis Hunter in terms of what he's looking for next. Yes, he's only going to be a sophomore in college, but he knows the deal. Everybody recruiting Travis Hunter knows the deal. College is going to be special for him. Expect him to continue to have a great career at the college level, but he's trying to go to the NFL and trying to be a star. And so for Georgia, that's the name of the game. That's what they do well. 15 guys in last year's draft alone. That's a record. It's a record for guys being drafted. Like I said, 5 guys on the defensive side alone in the first round. There's only 32 picks around, folks. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So for Travis Hunter, if I'm Kirby Smart, I just say, you know what? If you want to come here and go achieve all your goals, that's what we're pitching here for you, brother. We're not going to promise anything besides we're going to develop you to the absolute best player you can be. And if that turns out to be NFL superstar, then that's on you. But we're going to do everything on our end to allow you to get to where you want to be. I also think it's worth mentioning, they're the home state school, Travis Hunter being from the state of Georgia. After his freshman year, to now be transferring, from my own experience, whenever you see a kid transfer after his freshman year, at least one of the options, 9 times out of 10, in that top school list is going back home, being back around family, being back around what's familiar, being back around your friends. Like, that's a very real thing. And honestly, the idea of having, more comfortable surroundings at your new school that will already be an adjustment, that plays a factor. So keep an eye on Georgia and this whole thing. If development truly is the name of the game, I think Georgia's going to be the team to beat. Don't have any insight, don't have any inside info, but that's just my feel on it. If development is truly king here, then I think Georgia's in really good position. Now, changing gears here, if NIL is one of the key factors, then keep an eye on Miami. It's no secret, Miami is always a player when it comes to the NIL landscape. And also Mario Cristobal, you just can never count him out. I mean, when it comes to the recruiting trail, he is a dog. Recruiting rankings are always changing, but at the time of us being live here on, the 20th at 2:11 p.m. Eastern, you got a top 3 recruiting class in Miami without proof of concept on the field in Coral Gables. So that just tells you they're going to go after talent, and they're really good at getting talent to come onto their team. All right, so Travis Hunter would fit there, I think, schematically as well. Kevin Steele in that defense, it's a 4-2-5 scheme. To put it simply, Travis Hunter's skills are his length and his speed. And with this 4-2-5 defense, that just allows the defensive backs to play free on the back end. They're going to try and keep it all in front of them. They're going to have freakish athletes on the back end in that secondary, Travis Hunter potentially being one of them, and they're going to let him eat. And so from a scheme perspective, it could also be a fit. Could also be something that would be appealing for young Travis Hunter if that is the way that he wants to go. So also there's the whole conversation around wide receiver versus DB. I'm just going to approach this with the thought process that he's going to be playing defensive back. Outside of Colorado, where you could see him playing both ways, I think he's playing defensive back just because of how he projects to the NFL. But, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see how this whole thing shakes out. Next, let's talk about USC. That was another team that Chad mentioned in his Intel article. I think for them, it's the high-risk, high-reward defense. If you want to talk about how he fits, they were top 10 in the country last year in terms of takeaways. They also got gashed quite a few times in the secondary. So what that presents for Travis Hunter is at least the opportunity to showcase his skill set. They're going to leave him in man-to-man quite a bit. They're going to tell him, hey, in the ball's in the air, you go and do your best to make a play on it. Like, that goes without saying. But just the fact that it presents so much of a gambler's mindset for you on the back end also presents the opportunity to make some interceptions and pad those stats and allows you to play in phase for the defensive back. So is it a fit? We're going to get more information as his recruitment progresses, but also worth mentioning, going back to the NIL conversation for Miami and especially USC and those kind of markets, for Travis Hunter, as marketable as he is, the NIL dollars would likely be pretty appealing. Okay, so USC also a school to keep an eye on. Now, this is one other school that got thrown in the mix here as of a few hours ago, and maybe mix is even the wrong verbiage to use, but Ole Miss is working to be considered. Now, Lane Kiffin, you can never, ever count him out. Just down the road from Jackson, I'm just saying, if the hope is to stay comfortable and to play in the SEC, and I don't know that it is, but you would imagine there's something there with that, Ole Miss could allow you to kind of keep a lot of the same friends and similar social life and play in the SEC. So Colorado, Georgia, Miami, USC, Ole Miss, all at this point in time in the mix for Travis Hunter. Chad Simmons says it's Georgia and Colorado, the two leaders in the clubhouse. That could change. We'll keep an eye on it as it develops. Make sure you're locked into the On3 YouTube channel. We're not going to lead you astray. Everybody talking about, well, this is just clickbait. The Colorado's the far and away the favorite. Listen, the intel is what it is. Colorado might be the favorite, but to say it's a lock, not the case. Not the case at all. Should be a whole lot of fun to track that, though, because whoever does get Travis Hunter is getting an absolute program changer that will play on day one. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.